Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025, about 5:32 p.m. We're in council chambers of City Hall, and with a quorum of members present, I will be calling the Finance Committee to order. Item number 1 on our agenda is discussion and possible action authorizing the execution of airport ground lease for Mike Yankaitis. Any discussion on that? We do have the airport manager here if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, this is a similar lease that what we've used for previous ground leases for previous hangar projects. So I'll entertain a motion. A motion from Tierney, second.
I'll second.
Second from Henke. Discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. And I think this is going to be on our council meeting tonight. So, item number 2, a discussion and possible action approving grant submission to US EPA for the solar array project at 1801 Burrick Avenue. And we do have Eric Lindman here if anybody has any questions on that, or if Eric's got anything to add. I know there was a substantial amount of information in our packet about that.
Yeah, so this had come to us recently. We had looked into it, working with our consultant to see if it's something that we'd be eligible for, and it is. It's competitive nationwide. They're looking at doing 6 separate awards. For our size community, up to 1.2 million. So I think it's worthwhile to go through the effort to put it in. If, the committee and council are okay with that, so.
And I think I noticed there was a 10% share on that, which is...
Correct.
Yeah, which is really good.
Yeah.
If we move ahead with the solar array project, because I think we were also looking at it through capital, a CIP, would that be something that we could be reimbursed with by the grant, or?
Yeah, I think the grant would cover that portion of the construction costs.
Okay.
We're looking at about a $2 million build, so the 1.2 million. And then we're also still looking at potentially for tax credits, up to 40%. So depending on where we're eligible. So what we're trying to do is find different sources to help offset that borrowing for the city side.
So really, if we approve using CIP funds for the solar array, and then the grant comes through, we're not going to be so far ahead in the planning and in construction that we would be able to shift things around,
because if you approved us to move this forward, we anticipate for bidding purposes that we would go through and use all the federal procurement requirements.
Okay.
As if we did.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
it's okay.
The 2026 budget only had engineering in it. It didn't have
Right.
any construction.
Okay.
So it was
Yeah.
just 150,000 for engineering, so there's nothing budgeted at this point for the actual project itself.
So it would fit, this grant would fit really well into our
timeline.
into our timeline.
It would, yeah.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the
A motion
grant
from Henke,
application.
second from Watson. Further discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that carries.
Thank you.
Great. Item number 3, discussion and possible action approving budget modification for an amendment with GIE Consultants for environmental consulting services for the former Wausau Business Incubator site at 1300 Cleveland Avenue, WDNR BRRTS number 0237587081. We are going to pull that item from the agenda. I think the best thing we can do, we're going to bring this back to finance with more information, but I think we're going to be I think the goal is to send that to economic development first, so we'll be pulling that item from the agenda for today's finance meeting. And then item number 4, discussion and possible action amending pet animal fees for the 2025 fee schedule.
Yes, so I happened to be watching Marathon County's Finance Committee and saw that they were proposing to implement a significant animal fee for the 24-25 licensing season. That was then approved by their finance committee and also approved by their county board. I believe it was last Tuesday or Thursday. So it is going into effect, and that would go into effect for the licenses that we start issuing in November. So it will be our responsibility to collect those on behalf of the county and submit those to the county. So we are responding because we generally just charge the license fee and take a portion of our fee to pay the county our share of their license fee. So, to make sure that we had this done on a timely basis ahead of the licensing fee that starts in November, because we usually send out notices the beginning of November and we have the whole system up and running. We didn't want to wait for the entire budget process to get this going. So this would reflect the increase that the county, you can see the county is increasing their fees $10 for non-neutered or spayed dogs and $7 for spayed and neutered. And then just to keep pace with, obviously every year we have increased costs in software that we're using to manage this process. Our employees, we've proposed to take on an additional cost to help us offset our costs. So that would include basically, it would be an additional $6 for the city for spayed neutered, and then a reduction in the microchip discount of $3. So the fees would go from, currently a spayed neuter dog is $20, it would go to $30. The microchip discount would be reduced from $8 to $5, and a not spayed dog or cat would go from $62 to $75. That would allow us, again, to pay our obligation to the county based on their new rate and to collect a little bit of more revenues for the city to defray our cost increases for issuing.
Okay. Any questions from the committee on that? Watson, it looks like you might have one, or no?
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair. So is this the extra from these licenses are still going into like a kittier pot for our like humane enforcement that we're using now at the police,
Yes.
right?
So we were, I guess, a couple of things. Thank you for that question. It's a good question. A couple of things. The county is responding to their increased costs for the Humane Society. So, I think from both the city and county's experience this year for the 2026 budget, obviously we've got increases, a lot of inflation increases, and trying to live within the restraints that we have down at the state for levy. I think both organizations are seeing that one of the solutions is other revenues, diversifying your revenues. The county has done an excellent job in diversifying their revenues. Obviously, they have a major engine called sales tax. Now they have a new engine called wheel tax. And so they are looking for revenues. I know one of the things that they recently debated on, I don't know if it was on the floor of the county board or if it was in a committee, was even if you live in a rural area and you have a septic tank, you every 3 years you have to have your septic tank inspected or drained. They're now charging a surcharge just to send out the little postcard to tell people it's their 3 years, because there is administrative costs associated with those. And, again, given the limitations that we have and given the cost increases, they're looking to offset those. So that was why they were responding. And yes, we are using 100% of our animal licensing fees to either offset the actual licensing costs. So we buy the pet tags and, we pay postage, those kinds of things. But then the rest of it is all being used for the enforcement.
But just how much, I guess split wise, you know how much like would go to the enforcement part and go to the, like how much did our, just the administrative
Oh,
costs change?
I don't really think that the administration, like the actual cost of a pet take, I don't know. I don't believe we've actually ordered them yet for this year. I could be wrong about that. I'm probably not included in that workflow process, but, so I can't tell you that exact number. Obviously, you know, all staffing has gone up, right? Because our health insurance is going to go up 9.5% next year. Wisconsin retirement system went up from 6.95% contribution to 7.2% contribution. And then if there's any inflationary increases for cost of living, those kinds of things, those would be in there as well. But, you know, the issue, like right now, we're not charging any customer service or cashiering time to this budget. It's really purely enforcement time, and then just the supplies for license issuing. All of the actual license issuing from a human standpoint is taking place outside this. So it would really be just to cover the enforcement component.
And I guess one last question. I guess I sort of see the microchipping discount as an incentive to get your dog microchipped, and I noticed that came down. So it's
Yeah.
not. I mean, it's still an incentive. It's $5, but it's not as much of a hey, we really want you to.
Yeah, I
So-
did ask for staff input on this from the idea of how we should adjust fees. They felt that like the $8 makes it, you know, the math is a little bit more complicated, and they didn't really think that most people don't even know that they're going to get the discount. So they don't know that it's actually doing much of an incentive.
Oh, okay.
So that was the feedback I got as we were reviewing the fees.
Cool. All right. Thanks.
Okay. I always thought the big incentive for microchipping is when you go to the city-sponsored
Right.
rabies clinics, they do the free microchip.
Right.
So, which is a pretty good deal. Okay, any other, Alder Tierney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Marianne, do you know about how much is actually going towards the enforcement assistance on the animal?
Our police
didn't
chief
even
coming
see
up, he
Chief
might be
Barnes
able to
there.
give us a better.
I can probably help you with that a little bit. Currently, in the 2025 budget, the 3 CSOs that do animal enforcement up to 20 hours a week is a budget of approximately $68,500 to $70,000 in that range. We budget for 250 non-dog strays at $185 a piece. I can't do that math in my head right now, but it's a large number. And then we also have to have some money in our budget for what's called our Held for Cause contract with the Humane Society. That $185 per non-dog stray is a contract with the Humane Society, and anything we don't use gets credited toward the next year. The Held for Cause is anything that's not a stray. So stray dogs are covered by the county, but so when we're conducting an investigation and need to have an animal held, or we arrest someone that has an animal and that animal goes to the Humane Society because there's no place else for it to go, that on day one costs us $175 per animal, and then it's $16 a day after that, and we incur all veterinary bills that are required while that animal's at the Humane Society. So every time that happens, we have to manage that, but it's a feast or famine type scenario per year. I can't forecast for you if we're going to have an animal hoarding type situation where we take 30 animals that are held for cause to the Humane Society, and so that budget line can change dramatically.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, even, I mean, I was just looking to see what kind of revenue you were getting to see if it was, helping out now that
We know how many licenses are issued a year?
I guess with not having
Oh.
that full-time dedicated humane officer, I was hoping that it
Yeah,
was covering
I wouldn't be
the
comfortable
fees.
telling you that our revenues and forfeitures from licensing and forfeitures on enforcement cover the cost of animal control. Animal control is very expensive.
Yeah, so under the 2025 2025 budget. Now I'm in so many years, I have to think what year I'm talking about, sorry. The 2025 budget, I think we levied an additional $43,548 for animal control. The proposed 2026 budget, we've eliminated that levy. Again, to try to balance the budget, but, we'll have more information on that coming forward. But obviously, the fee increase, I estimated about $3,000 extra for the fee increase. That might be a little light, but that's what I estimated.
Thank you both.
Okay. If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion. A motion from Tierney, a second. Second from Watson. And a discussion on that. Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Record one no. Alder McElhaney. All right. Motion is carried, 4-1. And with that, we're at the end of our agenda, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. A motion from Tierney, second from Watson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we stand adjourned.